Compton, the pastor at Main Street United Methodist Church, and I'm here today to bring you our weekly Wednesday Word. During this Lenten season, our worship series has been entitled Drink from the Fountain of Grace. So I thought today it would be appropriate and maybe helpful for us to look at grace. What does grace mean? Grace is an important theological term for United Methodist. John Wesley really honed into what does it mean? How do we live in grace? How does grace guide our relationship with God? And so for John Wesley, he proposed that there are three different ways to experience God's grace. One is called prevenient grace. And that is God's grace that goes before us, before we even know anything about it. That God's grace is just out there just because we are and just because God is. God's grace is there for us. We don't have to do anything for it. We haven't earned it. It's just because God is and we are, and God receives us and loves us in that grace. It's one of the reasons why it's important for us in United Methodism to baptize as infants. That is a key thing because we are recognizing that God's grace is there before a baby can understand it, comprehend it, recognize it, and accept it for themselves. God's grace is there. Prevenient grace. And then there is justifying grace. Justifying grace is that grace that we experience when we recognize and say, oh, this is what it means to live in relationship with God. This is what it means for what Jesus did for me. And we become justified. We are then made right. We accept that grace that has been there for us our entire lives, and we accept it for ourselves, and we claim it, and we say, yes, I want to live in that relationship with God. I believe, I am grateful, and I am justified to God because of God's justifying grace. And then the last one is sanctifying grace. Sanctifying grace is that grace that we live into for the rest of our lives. Once we have experienced that justifying grace, then we are living in sanctifying grace. And that grace just surrounds us and guides us and directs us for the rest of our life as to how to live as a follower of Jesus Christ, how to live as somebody that wants to be in relationship with God. One of the ways to kind of understand this prevenient and justifying and sanctifying grace is the idea of a house. And prevenient grace is like the front porch. That front porch that is there, that welcomes you, that receives you, that demonstrates that a place has been prepared for you, that you come to it ready to be received. That's prevenient grace. Justifying grace is basically the doorway when you're walking through the door of the house. That space. So it's a short period of time, but it's that time when you move from the porch into relationship with God, into a life as a follower of Jesus Christ. That justifying grace is that doorway in the house. And then the sanctifying grace is the inside of the house itself. It's living into all of the different rooms of the house, exploring and looking and learning and growing and living. And for each of us, then we may be in different rooms and we may be experiencing it differently than others, but all of it is part of God's plan and God's desire for us. So that's grace. I just wanted to put that out there. That was very simplistic and very quick explanation, but it's something to help you to think about what it means to drink from the fountain of grace and looking at what a United Methodist understanding of God's grace is. I want to lift up a few things as we are getting ready getting closer and closer to Holy Week. First, to remind you that our Breakfast with the Bunny is this Saturday. It begins at 9:30. We're going to have some wonderful food. We're going to have some games and crafts and the Easter Bunny. And we're going to have Easter eggs for the children to hunt. We're even going to have a craft for the adults to be able to do. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you are invited and encouraged to come. We would love for all of the Bedford community to come and participate in this event. Those of you, if you would like to help with it, we still do need a few extra hands to help participate and make sure that we have all of the different areas covered, fully staffed with what needs to be done. Then this Sunday is Palm Sunday. We will be having palms for everybody who would like to participate in person for that. It is also the first Sunday in the month, so we will be having Holy Communion on Palm Sunday. Maundy Thursday is Thursday evening. We'll have a service at 7 p.m. and it will also be a communion service as we are remembering the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples on that Thursday. Good Friday service. There is an ecumenical service. Our ministerial association is putting on a service at Washington Street Baptist Church at 12 noon that Friday. And we are also having a service that evening at 7 p.m. The service here at Main Street at 7 is going to be offered by our choir as well as some instrumentalists. And it is going to be focused on the Good Friday story, Holy Week story through music. It will be a powerful, powerful evening, and I hope that you will plan to participate in that Good Friday service Friday at 7 p.m. And then on Easter Sunday, we will have our Easter service at 10:30 a.m. in person. It will be followed by a butterfly release. So we will have butterflies and we'll be releasing them in the courtyard immediately after the worship service. All are welcome to join us for that service. On Easter Sunday, we will also have a living cross in our narthex, and you are invited to bring some of your flowers from your yards. If for some reason your flowers have come and gone already and you haven't gotten the later flowers, you can bring some from the store, whatever flowers you might have that can decorate the cross, and we will use that as a symbol, a powerful symbol of the resurrection, and it will be in the narthex on Easter Sunday. Friends, I hope you have a great rest of the week. I hope you've had a meaningful Lenten journey and are looking forward to experiencing Holy Week and that solemn walk throughout the week in preparation for Easter Sunday. I look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday, either in person or worshiping with you online. God bless.